Good morning. My name is Brad Gilbert. I'm a member here at Unity of the Hill Country, where we offer a positive path for spiritual living. Let us play. We give thanks for this beautiful day full of possibilities. We feel God's presence and power in all of us and all around us. We are truly blessed. Feeling wholeness, we extend this blessing to everybody. We bless all people, regardless of what they believe or who they love. We know that there are many paths to God, many names for God, but only one God. And God is expressing through all creation. We come together this morning to experience and express the Christ Spirit that dwells within each and every one of us. And so it is. Amen. If you're joining on Facebook from home, we'd like to take a moment to say welcome and connect in consciousness. Please feel free to comment and introduce yourselves. This is our time to be together and share in love. Feel free to post and tweet about Unity of the Hill Country, but please silence your cell phones now. Unity is a global, inclusive spiritual community. We offer practical, uplifting resources to help people of all faiths apply spiritual principles. Unity provides a philosophy that is spiritual, not religious, and love-based, not fear-based. If you please join me in saying our vision and mission statement. To live consciously, celebrated divine potential in all, as well as our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God, the good, the omnipotent. And it's Celebration Sunday. Every first Sunday of the month, we take time to honor birthdays, anniversaries, answer prayers, and everything in between. If you have something you want to celebrate, please stand or raise your hand. We will acknowledge you. Norma?
For anybody that hasn't already heard, this is my 92nd birthday.
Yeah. For anybody watching online, Norma Leonard is turning 92 today. What a blessing. Yeah. Carla? Okay. Reverend Carla has July 15th birthday. And whose birthday is today?
My husband, Frank.
Oh, Frank, our visitor here, it's his birthday today as well. So we got 2 birthdays in the house. Yeah. And Reverend Birdie, our guest speaker today, is also her birthday this month. And Kathy, you have something? Your birthday too. You got a lot of cancers in the house. Okay, cool. All right, anybody else have anything that they want to share with us? What's that? I didn't catch that. Oh, we have a dog birthday, 6 years old. And we had 2.5 inches of rain. We're blessed all around. All right. Okay. If you would please join us in our celebrant's blessing. It's up on the screen. We love you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ you are. The Unity movement started in 1889 with an answered prayer. Myrtle Fillmore was healed from tuberculosis. We are honored to pray with you. Place a prayer request in the prayer box next to the door, email us, or go to unityhillcountry.org and click on Ministries to submit a prayer request. And if you would please join us in our congregational song, it is Let Your Love Flow.
You can all stand if you'd like to this morning. I think most people know this little tune. There's a reason for the sunshine sky. There's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season grab you deep inside and send you reeling where your love can't hide, and then go stealing through the moonlit nights with your lover. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. It's the season. Just let your love fly like a bird on the wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine, and you'll know what I mean. That's the reason. There's a reason for the warm, sweet nights, and there's a reason for the candle lights. Must be the season when those love lights shine all around us. So let that wonder take you into space and lay you under its loving embrace. Just feel the thunder as it warms your face. You can't hold back. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. It's the season. And let your love fly like a bird on the wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine, and you'll know what I mean. That's the reason. One more time. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. It's the season. And let your love fly like a bird on the wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine, and you'll know what I mean. That's the reason.
Good morning. Good morning. It's so good to see all these bright and shining faces here today. And I see a lot of, for some reason I'm seeing, I'm sorry, I wasn't turned on. I'm turned on now. I look out over here and I see a sea of blue and green. There must be something going on today that everybody got the message or something. But anyway, welcome. And I don't know if you noticed it this morning, but we have a couple of newcomers, brand new fawns. They showed up out front looking for mom, I think, or food or something. But anyway, they were just standing there so cute. So when you get ready to leave today, look around and see if they're back, and they found mom. So anyway, well, today is July 2nd, and the word for today is guidance. And our affirmation for today is, I seek, trust, and follow my guidance. So let's all say that together. I seek, trust, and follow my guidance. Seeking divine guidance means tuning out information and opinions and turning inward. Then, with an open heart and open mind, I can better feel the nudge of my intuition, my inner voice. Have you heard that voice? Have you felt that nudge? I receive divine guidance much in the way flowers in a field soak up sunshine. just as following the sun is innate for them. I have the instinct to trust my inner knowing. Even if my guidance surprises me, I trust it to lead me on the path to my highest good. I follow where I feel called to go. I heed the still small voice within and pay particular attention to the serendipitous circumstances I find along the way. I seek, trust, and follow my divine guidance. As I do, I deepen my relationship with God, knowing wherever I go, I do not travel alone. And from Isaiah 58, verse 11, the Lord will guide you continually. And now, I am privileged to get the opportunity to introduce our guest speaker today. She and I are friends on Facebook, and so we message back and forth there, but we've never actually met each other face to face until today. And I'm so glad to have her here. I'd like to introduce Jennifer Birdie Shawker. Now, I've asked her about that nickname, Birdie, but I have not heard the story, so maybe she'll tell us. Jennifer Birdie Shawker currently serves as Connolly Memorial Medical Center as a staff chaplain, and she just finished her second unit of training, as I remember. And at Unity of Boerne as their social media director, and I can certainly relate to that. She's also a popular guest speaker at area Unity churches. Along with Reverend Jay Mulkey, she co-founded and facilitates Pathlighters, an online spiritual community that gathers to intentionally pray and meditate weekly. They are delighted that Reverend Bob Uhlar has joined the ranks of Pathlighters facilitators. So I guess that's every Thursday, right?
Yes, every Thursday, 8 p.m.
Prior to serving at Unity of Boerne, Birdie served at Unity of San Antonio as their communications coordinator and at Unity Spiritual Center in San Angelo as youth and family minister director. And she's also worked as an RN for almost 25 years. So she's been a very busy lady during her life. Birdie resides in Floresville, Texas with her husband Frank, who I mentioned earlier is celebrating his birthday today. So, and a plethora of cats. So anyway, Birdie, we're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much. Last week I was speaking at Unity of San Antonio, and I happened to meet Tim McKinney. Sounds familiar. He's the son of your founding minister, Reverend Joan McKinney. So I thought, well, I was on my right path coming to see you all today. So I invite you to bring to mind the God of your understanding. Take up your normal posture of prayer and bring to mind the God of your understanding as we spend some time in prayer and meditation together.
By which we're able to transform our thoughts and rise above circumstances. We reach within to the light of divine love, life, and wisdom to to understand that we need what we need in order to manifest. And we begin by quieting our minds. Invite you to observe your breath. Know that the breath is a place that we can go back to if we get distracted in our meditation. Established in the center of our being, we are still and peaceful. We bring to mind the prayer intentions in our prayer box here at Unity of the Hill Country. And we bring to mind beautiful, beautiful, beautiful church, every care and concern and celebration in the hearts of its members, present and non-present. And we uphold them in our time of prayer together. God is the wisdom that flows as intelligent throughout our bodies and minds. And centered in divine wisdom, we breathe out thoughts such as, I can't, or I don't know. We realize that we have access to infinite wisdom. We are inspired to think and act in ways that support not only our well-being, but the well-being of this church community and the world. We tell the truth, the absolute truth, the highest truth, to our bodies and to our circumstances. We are aware that healing energy streams throughout our bodies. We remind ourselves that divine life is eternal and irrepressible. We are full of divine life. We perceive possibilities through the faculty of faith. We see challenges and conditions to the truth of divine abundance. And we lift our thoughts to the height of abundance, where things are possible in the silence. And as our time of prayer draws to a close, we give great thanks, heartfelt thanks, for our unity of spirit and oneness with God. We know that we have an increasing capacity to embody divine wisdom, life, faith, and understanding. We return to our activities uplifted and energized. We pray all this in all the many precious names and with grateful hearts. Amen. Hallelujah.
talk today, saying thank you for having me as a speaker. And also, if you are a veteran, would you please stand where you are as you're able so we can recognize you? Everyone, as we approach the 4th of July, help me bless those who have served to keep intact our freedoms, our veterans. Raise your hands and repeat after me. Veterans, we love you, we bless you, and we thank you so much for your service. Amen. Thank you so much, veterans. I'm really proud of our country. I'm even more proud and thankful that my husband Frank is a veteran who served during the Cold Wars and the Gulf Wars, and my father served in the Korean War, and my father-in-law, my late father-in-law, served in Vietnam. And I felt a little conflicted because of that about some of the things I wanted to say today. And I in no way intend to minimize anyone's service to our country when I tell you I'm also keenly aware that and sensitive to the idea that for some people, the 4th of July is painful. And that's because the freedoms we have enjoyed in this country have not always been enjoyed by all. I don't know if you're aware of this. The First Nations people, those indigenous to the area, now known as the United States, may find this a painful time for all the reasons we know from elementary school, right? The Trail of Tears, et cetera, et cetera. But in 2022, the U.S. Department of Interior released a more than 100-page report on the federal indigenous boarding schools. Anybody ever hear that? I hadn't heard of this, right? Okay, so it blew my mind. It was designed to assimilate Native Americans in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. So this is between 1918 and 1969. 1969, that's fairly recent history. Y'all, that was a year before I was born. You know? According to the report, there was rampant physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. And the report recorded the deaths of more than 500 deaths of children. So, my message title is A More Perfect Union. And we certainly could have a more perfect union. But I think the founders of our country knew that. It just gives us a lot to think about. And I know that's pretty heavy, what I just told you. And there's a lot to digest in my talk, but it gets better, I promise. It gets hopeful. But it did break my heart one time when I heard a black person on the radio say of July 4th, "That is not my Freedom Day." And he went on to say that his Freedom Day was Juneteenth. More than one person approached me at the hospital where I worked, and I was kind of surprised about this, and this is what kind of inspired me to speak to you all about it, because he said, "Chaplain Birdie, what's Juneteenth?" Oh my goodness, right? So, I'm not an expert on the topic, but I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I didn't learn about Juneteenth in history class. I learned about Juneteenth from a dear friend and nurse named Martha. Martha was a nurse that I worked with, about 20 years ago. And I learned many things from her, and she helped me to be less racist. For example, here in Texas, it is super common to call a woman by her first name, right? But preface it with Miss Birdie. I have been called Miss Birdie thousands of times. I'm a Mrs. Birdie. But Martha was really cool in that she insisted upon not being called Miss Martha. She said, "Call me Nurse Martha, Mrs. Williams, or call me Martha. But do not call me Miss Martha, because that is the way a slave would be addressed." I know, right? That's exactly what I did. I'm so sorry. And she's the one who taught me about Juneteenth, right? And I was curious. I said, Martha, I said, why don't you, I shared an office with her, and I said, why don't you tell the other nurses about this? And she said to me, Birdie, I don't think they're going to listen. So I wish Martha had lived to see the local news a few weeks ago, where I live in San Antonio. I lived in San Angelo too. To hear the voice of Opal Lee, and she's known as the grandmother of Juneteenth. And she made, between the ages of 80 and 90, several trips across the U.S. on foot to raise awareness of Juneteenth, and it's now a federal holiday. And I heard her say on the news, they call her the grandmother of Juneteenth, but she said, I am everybody's grandmother now. And that's a step right in the right direction to be a more perfect union. And if you're interested in learning about more of these kinds of things, I have some colleagues that do a much better job than I do, and they're unity ministers. It's Reverend Kelly Isla and Reverend Ogan Holder. You go to projectsanctusus.org. They have a podcast, they have affinity groups, they have book studies, and they do remarkable work, because we do have work before we become a more perfect union. I really and truly think that's what the founders of the United States desired. They may have had some insights in their initial work of the Declaration of Independence and the preamble to the Constitution of their shortcomings. They wanted better for future generations. Why else would they have written, "We the people, in order to form a more perfect union"? I don't think they would have written that if everything was perfectly fine. You? Uhlar Williams recently updated an article of his that was featured on the History Channel's website that explored the odd sort of clang association of the Declaration of Independence that occurs when one considers the colonists who desired freedom from British tyranny also bought and sold human beings. It does rather boggle the mind. Well, apparently they had some insight to that, because Thomas Jefferson had drafted a 168-word passage that condemned slavery as part of the Declaration of Independence. And tragically, it wasn't kept as part of the document. There's no place that says why. A lot of history experts conjectured that it was for economic reasons. So it was less than a perfect beginning, and is more than likely a phrase that uses a really uncommon verb, right? A more perfect union, because that kind of boggles the mind, the way those words are put together in modern speak, right? Like, I don't walk around at work going, gee, I wish things were more perfect. So I wonder, I did a little research. It is verbally correct. It's not often we hear someone say the word perfecting anymore, but perfect can be a verb. But sometimes I wonder, is this a spiritual commentary, like a paradox? And hear me out. I used to work for a minister. His name was Reverend Jimmy Scott. Maybe you're familiar with him. He was down at Unity of San Antonio. He was much taller than me. He was like this. He's a 6'4" black man. And he was wonderful. And he kept a copy of the Declaration of Independence and the preamble to the Constitution. He kept it hung in his office because he said that the founding fathers were very spiritual people, and that those were very spiritual documents. So I went back and read them through maybe a bit of a different lens after hearing him say that. And when I saw a more perfect union, it made me think of some of unity and New Thought principles. And after all, my mentor in ministerial school, which was at Illy, Reverend Temple Hayes, says, really new thought is ancient thought. Take affirmative prayer, for example. Affirmative prayer, as we all know, we just experienced it in meditation, right? Upholds the highest truth, expands our awareness of oneness, and identifies divine nature as our true nature. Correct? Right? We learned that in prayer school. All right. Even when the human experience doesn't always seem that way. Affirmative prayers are typically constructed from declarative statements that state what the absolute truth is, or statements that negate thoughts, feelings, or ideas that are contrary to absolute truth. Reverend Thomas Shepard wrote in his book, The Many Faces of Prayer, there is nothing particularly new about prayer, built on declarative statements. And he gave an interesting example. It's of the 23rd Psalm. 23rd Psalm, as it turns out, is full of affirmations and negations. Now, you may know negations as denials. I call them negations because there's a lot of confusion about what a denial is and isn't. They like negate. Okay, so, all right, let's see if there's some affirmations and some negations in here. The Lord is my shepherd. Affirmation. I shall not want. Negation. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters, and he restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for his name's sake. That was a series of what? Affirmations. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil. Negation. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies and anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. Affirmations. So the 23rd Psalm is attributed to King David and was probably written during his reign, about 1,000 years BC. So yes, ancient thought? Ancient thought. So this idea of a more perfect union, a spiritual commentary, a paradox, a plea from our ancestors to do better, both? Now, a paradox, if you're not familiar with that, is an assertion that seems contradictory or opposed to common sense, but could be true. Spirituality is full of seeming paradox, and once I started to recognize them in life, I was awestruck. And to sit with a paradox brings about an authenticity, an honesty in one that I find just, for lack of a better word, amazing. So an example of a paradox that's common in New Thought and Unity circles is that the divine can be understood or realized as principle, right? Principle? That's kind of impersonal. And the divine can be experienced as a warm and loving presence, which is very personal. Seems contradictory, right? But I don't think you'd have an easy time convincing anybody in New Thought it's a either or. I would say just about everybody would agree with you if you thought it was a both and. Further, we uphold that we are divine. We are one with the infinite, yet understanding God as principle or presence does what? Imparts a sense of separateness. One more example of paradox, and bear with me. I know sometimes spirituality hurts, but it's hurting in a good way. Another example is the absolute truth and relative truth. Now, this is Unity 101, right? It's literally in the first chapter of Heartfelt Metaphysics by Reverend Paul Hesselbeck, right? So, absolute truth. right? It's enduring, it's unchanging, it's unending, it's pure, complete, whole, and really challenging to wrap our minds around because we spend most of our time in the relative experience, correct? Right? Paul Hasselbeck in his book describes the absolute as the sum total of divine ideas. The relative truth is easier to describe because we know it well. It's the everyday human experience where we have just our everyday senses, right? Things change and are temporary in the relative experience. They end and begin. We know impermanence, loss, grief, and here's the paradox part though. The absolute truth and the relative truth do not exist apart from one another. Me, they are what comprise the fullness of our lives. So when they say a more perfect union, is it in the absolute sense when they say perfect? Something to think about. So I grew up in Washington, D.C. My father worked for the federal government. We moved there when I was 10, and D.C. is the only town I can think of where the predominant culture changes every 4 to 8 years. It's weird. And I thought it was normal. Like when I came to Texas, I was like, wait, when's the culture going to change here? It just doesn't. When a new president takes office, there's a good deal of turnover in work. It's just like a whole new population comes in. Mind-blowing. Well, my father was there for 5 presidential administrations, which is pretty impressive and says a lot about him. I'm kind of proud of him. So, when Reagan, famous actor, was president, D.C. had a Hollywood feel to it. Celebrity sightings were extremely common. My mother met Elizabeth Taylor in the restroom of Lord and Taylor. Everyone dressed very fashionably. Glamorous gatherings were the norm. And a lot of people were from, of course, California, right? Because he brought people with him. Now, when Bush became president, Washington, D.C. took on a Texas vibe. It really did. Cowboy hats, blue jeans, boots were common sightings. With Clinton, Washington, D.C. had like a blue-collar feel to it. Then with Bush Jr., we were in Texas all over again. Now, if all this turnover and change in the nation's capital sounds inefficient to you, you're correct. Because I looked, and nowhere in the Constitution of the United States of America are we promised efficiency. It's just not there. I checked. I would have loved it if it was. In the preamble of the Constitution, it does say a more perfect union. And to me, I think this denotes they knew there was room for improvement, that the government was less than optimal at the time. Those who founded our country were spiritual people who created a spiritual document. They knew human versus divine nature, and that perfection is something that's only expressed in an absolute sense, but definitely something to strive for, and is truly our true nature. The best humans can strive for is maybe a more perfect union. But we know better in unity. We know about the absolute, we know about its manifestation. However, over time, what has happened is government for the people, by the people, human people, means mistakes, missteps, and frequent changes. I did some research on the religions of the writers of the Declaration of Independence, because the divine did seem to be like a central theme through the document. And while there was not too much diversity culturally of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, I was shocked by how many different religions were represented. There was Episcopalian, Anglican, Congregationalist, which later formed the Disciples of Christ and the United Church of Christ, Presbyterian, Quaker, Dutch Reformed, and German Reformed, which later became different religions. There was one atheist, Lutheran, Catholic, Huguenot, Unitarian, Methodist, and Calvinist. That's pretty spiritually mixed up, right? And as spiritually diverse as this group was, they could all agree on this, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, what life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness looks like changes with the times, and is sometimes brought about very inefficiently. Not everybody is always on the same page. How imperfect. That is human nature, and that is also why we are empowered to vote. I find it so wondrous that this country that is far more diverse now than at the time of the Declaration of Independence was signed, it still upholds those same self-evident truths. That report that came out last year is evidence of it, that there are people striving for a more perfect union everywhere. And the writers of the Constitution knew this because they were spiritual people. They knew that the ability to change for the better was as close as we could get to perfection in the human experience. And it's as close to freedom as we can get in this experience. How thoughtful of them. That is something worth defending and striving towards making it better, and for sure, something worth celebrating. Happy, happy 4th of July. I thank you for listening and hanging in with me. Be blessed this day.
All right, we now have some special music. I'm pretty sure you all know this song, so if you want to sing along, music team will help you out, and words are on the screen.
Thank you, Reverend Birdie. It's great. This kind of goes along with, we'll elaborate on your talk. This land is our land, it should be, huh? Here we go. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of high sun came shining, and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving, and the dust clouds rolling, as the fog was lifting, the voice was chanting, this land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me.
All right. Isn't it great having Melinda back?
Dave, check. He found it. I was driving back from Kansas City last week, and I went through Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they've really changed Tulsa on the north side. They have a fairly new Woody Guthrie Museum and a new Bob Dylan Museum, and I saw the huge mural of "This Land Is Your Land," and I thought, we're going to sing that next weekend.
Cool. All right. If this is your first time at Unity, we are glad that you're here. We hope that you are finding a place of like-minded people and a place to belong. We teach spiritual tools that can help you no matter what is going on in your life. Generosity is important to us. We will donate $5 to a local charity of your choice. Just write your email on the card in the welcome packet and leave it in our office. We don't want to put you on the spot, but if you raise your hands, we will come bring you a welcome packet, or you can pick one up on your way out. Is there anybody that wants a welcome packet today? Good. Hey, welcome. Okay, great. Right, and we now have an opportunity to support our spiritual cooperative. If you'd like to donate by credit card, go to our website, unityhillcountry.org, and click on the donate button. Please set up an automatic weekly or monthly contribution. It's very easy. If you'd prefer to mail us checks, please mail them to Unity of the Hill Country, 1016 Jefferson Street, Kerrville, Texas, 78028. We thank you in advance for your generosity. And would the ushers please bring the offering baskets up now? And if you would follow along with the words on the screen, we will do our offertory blessing. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I send it forth with my blessings and my love. We open our hearts in gratitude for these freely given donations. We send these gifts forward through our congregation and into the world, blessing all that it affects. Amen. Okay, I have a few brief announcements for you. If you refer to the back of the handout, you will see the scheduled events for the week. Serenity Al-Anon meets at noon on Mondays. If you have a friend or loved one suffering from addiction and you need support, please visit Al-Anon. The Naked Now book study is resuming tomorrow at 2 p.m. So if you're a part of that, that's your call to come tomorrow. A Course in Miracles is facilitated by Charlie Diggs, meets at 4 p.m. on Wednesdays. It is moved to Zoom meetings until the end of August. So if you're interested, I can put you in touch with Charlie if you don't already have that information. Codependence Anonymous meets weekly on Thursdays. Meeting time is moved to 7 p.m. from 8 p.m. This is an open meeting, so if you're interested, please come check it out or visit coda.org for more information. Our Center of Calm Meditation group meets weekly at 10:30 a.m. on Thursdays. You also have an opportunity, if you feel like it, before service at 10:15 to come use our meditation chapel as well. If you're on Facebook, we encourage you to join our Facebook network, the Unity Spiritual Network, to stay connected. It's a good way to, ask for prayer or whatever you need, and just stay in touch with everybody. The local animal shelters are having a real run on food right now, so we're trying to do our part. You may have noticed the box up at the front. We are trying to collect as much for them, so if you are able, our four-legged friends appreciate you, and the folks at the shelters and Kerrville Pets Alive would thank your contribution as well. And now, I have a personal stake in this one. It's the last day to see the show that I am stage managing, assistant directing, so shameless plug, come see it. I have one more buy one, get one coupon if anybody's interested, so if you want to come see that, come see it before it's gone forever. It's really precious show, so I'm partial to it though. All right. And if you'd like an opportunity to serve our community, if you want to be up on platform, help with ushering, daily word reading, etc., please let us know. We have sign-up sheets in the office, or in the lobby rather. We have several members that have stepped away from their commitments, and surprise, I'm your host today because it's pretty fun. I enjoy it. Everybody's pretty forgiving. There's no mean faces in the audience. So please help us out if you can. Reminder, it's Celebration Sunday, so please come get goodies. And we have reached the end of our gathering. So if you please circle up and join us in the peace song, followed by the prayer for protection.